Those who promote these so-called virtual currencies have asserted they will make it easier and cheaper to buy and sell goods. Second, many ICOs are being conducted illegally. Their promoters and other participants are not following our securities laws. Some say this is because the law is not clear. I do not buy that for a moment. The extent that digital assets like ICOs are securities, and I believe every ICO I've seen is a security, we have jurisdiction and our federal securities laws apply. We will enforce these laws. Many of these laws also include private rights of action. We are working with the DOJ and other regulators to enforce these laws.
I'm the father of 3 college-age children. We haven't been able to pique their interest in the stock market. I guess they're not much different than most kids their age. Well, something changed in the last year. Suddenly, they were all talking about Bitcoin. The total value of all virtual currency in the world is around $313 billion. In comparison, global money supply is around $7.6 trillion. And because Bitcoin is sometimes compared to gold as an investment asset, the value of all the gold in the world is around $8 trillion. We do have enforcement power over spot coin markets. And with newly launched Bitcoin futures, the CFTC can now obtain trading data and analyze it for fraud and manipulation in 5 underlying spot markets. And that leads to the final element, and that is tough enforcement. Led by the CFTC's Virtual Currency Enforcement Task Force, we've launched several civil actions over the past few weeks, cracking down on fraudsters and manipulators, and more will follow.
Hello. Welcome to another RTD Live Chat. Trying to go for 2 nights in a row of chatting and open up the mics to those that want to call in and share what's happening in this world. So thanks for joining me. Looking forward to, getting your thoughts on what's happening, what happened today, as well as see who want to comment on the little challenge we had last night in regards to where the Dow will end up today, as well as where would the cryptocurrency market end up at. So let's see what's happening. Who's online? Let me know who and where you're tuning in from. So far, we got Stacy here. And so the goal is to, give you guys a chance to share what's on your mind and to chit chat a little bit. It's a little late night, but figure I will get online and give it a try and see who wants to talk. And so one thing that, as you guys saw from that intro, the whole crypto hearing this morning, had a chance to watch it, and it was very surprising how it seemed to be well accepted that both of the SEC and the CFTC chair directors or whatnot spoke somewhat favorable of it. And it's kind of surprising since they mentioned that the market cap is relatively small now, but I'm wondering, did they really realize that by them giving it a thumbs up and giving it their approval, that the market cap will increase rapidly, real fast? So I found it to be quite shocking, but not surprising. And I wonder if it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that they know that something's happening or something's coming that's going to cause somewhat of a shakeup. And they want citizens to have options since they know that most people don't have sound money. So it's interesting, very interesting. But once again, RTD Live Talk. So Stacy, looks like Stacy's on there. How you doing? What's up with you tonight? What do you have going on? Yeah. So looking to basically just chit chat a little bit. And so one thing that from last night, I didn't really have a chance to follow the Dow Jones much, but I do know that it ended up recovering some of those losses from Monday. And I wonder, was it actually a actual market improvement, or was there some type of computer algorithm that boosted it up a little bit? And so time will tell. But after that happened, and especially after last night's chat, it got me to thinking about, I wonder how and why on Monday or actually starting on last Friday, did the market start to take a turn for the worse? And I wonder how much does it have to do with what Donald Trump is doing and how he is attempting to shake things up in DC. And so where the market manipulators and those that are in control of those markets trying to make a point to him to say, hey, if you're going to interfere with what we got going on, we can bring this whole deck of cards down on your watch, and then everyone will point the blame at you. So I wonder how that was received in DC. And so, of course, like always, there's more things behind the scenes that we would never know nothing about. But it's kind of interesting how the market is, somewhat stabilizing a little bit. It's at 24.9, approaching 25,000, up 567 points. So that's interesting how that 2-day dip caused a lot of mainstream media scare. And so we'll see how if this was just a fluke or is there more to come. And in my opinion, today I was listening to Peter Schiff on the Alex Jones show. And so if you haven't had a chance to check that out, I would definitely recommend you check that out because it was very telling, because he lists a lot of things that are coming up that will be key determinants on how this the bond market, as well as the decisions of the Fed and the newly elected Fed chairman, Mr. Jerome Powell, how he plays out with his decision making. And so this spring, between now, this month in general, I believe is something to keep an eye on, because if we have another market dip, it could turn into more than just a 2-day, 3-day event. Bold, like, yes. How you doing? I received the email. I did receive it, and I was extremely busy today, but let me take a look at it now since I am on the computer. Where we go. Extreme, some clarity on some trends. Yeah, so Bold. So that sounds good. I had a chance to scan through that opportunity. So definitely we can connect. I would love to appear on your show and chit chat a little bit and share my opinion with you on what I think is happening and what's going to happen. So definitely look forward to that. So probably the best time might be sometime next week, give or take. Yeah. So yeah, I did receive it. So I figure I better respond now, because if I don't, I might forget to respond. So definitely. But what's going on out there? What any other news stories that I did not have a chance to tune into? And so the markets is not a true measurement of the economy. Very true, because the markets are artificially induced. Artificially induced, what some say as what they say with it's easy credit or easy money, but a lot of people refer to it as the markets are on heroin, and they keep injecting it more and more just to keep it alive. So once the heroin stops, or once the injection stops, then everything comes tumbling down. And it's unfortunate that a lot of people don't know that or see it that way. The mainstream narrative makes you think that the stock market is healthy, and just having a continual increase in the Dow is something that's considered normal nowadays. And that's signs of we're in an economic recovery, according to them. On South America volatility, not only Venezuela, but Brazil, Ecuador, and Argentina. Yeah, so I haven't, and I do not cover those areas as much, but I know that Brazil has always been in shambles because the real, real, Brazilian real, I know they're having major troubles down there with inflation. Ecuador, literally a third world country that already has like a digital currency in play. So I know that they're struggling. I actually know someone there. And then Argentina, of course, I've covered that a while back. And so that's, that situation there is very interesting, because those people down there, they're used to the economy tanking on them, and they're used to having inflation, and they're used to having new issuing of currency all the time. And so actually, Venezuela and Argentina, both, I visit those, lived in Argentina for a while. And so I was there, a decade ago when the economy was somewhat stable and the exchange rate was 3-1. And so it was, as an American living there, it was very favorable for me. And then I ended up going back a couple years later, and it was closer to 8 to 1. So it was 8 pesos for $1. And it's amazing how you go to a grocery store and to get your regular, groceries or whatnot, and the prices just reflect the amount of inflation. So instead of like a box of cereal, a decade ago was, say, 7 pesos, 8 pesos, which was more moderate at that time. 10 years later, it was just 45 pesos. So the looking at those numbers for a box of cereal, when that a decade ago you was paying a lot less, or you get more bang for your peso, was quite interesting. I do believe I was correct about the market leveling out. How you doing, Robert? Thanks for tuning in, my friend. Yeah, I think after thinking about last night's conversation, I really believe that the market is being used as a threat to the White House to kind of let President Trump know who's in charge. So I believe that the governing forces, or the powers that be that actually control all these markets, was sending a warning to him on what will happen if he probably continues what he's doing. And with this the memo aspect, and the House hearing is going to take place on the Department of Justice and FBI, text messages and all stuff like that. So I think that was a warning sign. And so we'll see how he responds. And then if you haven't had a chance to see, earlier today when he was in a press conference, someone, I don't know who it was sitting across the table from him, and he was sitting at the table and actually tweeted it out. And so actually I will pull it up so you can see it, because it was quite telling of the type of president we have. And so he was sitting across the table. Let me see, where is it at? He was sitting across the table, and a person was telling him about how difficult it is to get cooperation amongst some of the governing bodies. So I'll actually share my screen and play it, because it's quite it's very interesting. Let me see, escape. I thought it was quite interesting how he handled it, and actually how he said it. So I'll play it. I'll make it big. Boom.
We want to give the secretary.
So take a look at this. Listen to this.
Says, I don't have the authority to deport these dangerous criminals. I've been down to the detention spaces. I've seen these teenage males that their home becomes MS-13. That becomes their family. And then they're a threat to our society. And so we want to give the secretary that authority to end and close the dangerous loopholes so we can deport and remove these dangerous criminals from the United States.
So as you know, we can't do a job. These incredible professionals at the table cannot do their job unless we change really the legislation. And we're going to get it done. Frankly, I'll go a step further. If we don't change the legislation, if we don't get rid of these loopholes where killers are allowed to come into our country and continue to kill gang members, and we're just talking about MS-13, there are many gang members that we don't even mention. If we don't change it, let's have a shutdown. We'll do a shutdown, and it's worth it for our country. I'd love to see a shutdown if we don't get this stuff taken care of. So we have to.
I would love to see a shutdown. By a little bit, but by a lot. This is our president talking about shutting the government down.
The world is laughing at us because they can't believe these policies. They don't have it. I could name 15 of them right now. No other country in the world has what we have. And we're going to get it stopped. And if we have to shut it down because the Democrats don't want safety, and unrelated but still related, they don't want to take care of our military, then shut it down. We'll go with another shutdown.
So there you have the president of the United States. The president of the United States saying we'll shut it down. And so the question is, how many presidents do you know would be bold enough to come out and just so bluntly say we're going to shut it down? And so the comment I attached with that video was, our president, doesn't speak like a man that's in the most powerful seat on the planet. This guy speaks like a boss, like he's used to, like this is the apprentice or something like that. He's sitting on the table, leaning forward, like he's calling the shots, and that, you know, either you do what he say or else. And that's a little scary on my part. I believe it's a little scary to have a guy sit across from the table who don't really need the job, first of all, who ran on the idea that I don't need this job. I'm doing it basically to help you out. So it's interesting to see how that, you know, yeah, how that all pans out. But anyway, so let's let me see what's going on. I have a couple questions here, a couple comments here. Do you think precious metals and cryptocurrency? Do you think precious metals and cryptocurrency will be a solution? I believe there will be a viable option of a storage of wealth for the long term. And so, of course, you know, fiat currency and the idea of using your debit cards and the digital dollars, that will be revalued heavily. And so a lot of people, especially my prior guest, Jim Willie, always talks about how there's going to be an issuance of another note or another currency after the Federal Reserve note is completely destroyed because of inflation. And so if you had a chance to actually tune into some news today, there's a lot of articles out there on the idea that inflation is not what it should be. And so I guess one of the Fed board members down south somewhere mentioned how he thinks if, you know, inflation is going to pick up. So you hear the word inflation mentioned a lot, which means that that's basically saying that the depreciation or devaluing of the currency. And so I believe within the next year or two, we're going to actually see prices begin to increase to the point where it won't be able to hide. You won't be able to come up with, you know, those bogus numbers they say where, you know, that we're not at our 2% inflation rate target, you know, because it's clearly is well beyond 2%. But according to how they measure it on those outdated models, it's only 1.99 or something like that. But yet you and I, I'm sure, are feeling it in our pockets, especially when it comes to buying the basic things we need to live. So precious metals will be a way of absorbing some of that inflationary liquidity that they're going to pump into the system after the recession, I believe. So, you know, whenever the fiat currency goes down, everything of real value always go up. So those will who hold on to metals as well as some form of cryptos, in my opinion, will be able to retain some of that purchasing power. There's more air in packaged foods. Tell me about it. Sound money. You get a bag of chips. They used to be a quarter bag. Not even they went to 50 cents. Now they're $1, and it's $1 of nothing but air. You open the bag up, it's, you know, it was 1/3 full, and it still costs $1. There's more. I have to put together a white page. I worked for Donald Trump over the most president we've had since I've been alive. Yeah, he's, you know, and that's the thing. Like, this guy's he's not your everyday guy, man. He doesn't, you know, what I appreciate most about him is the fact that he took a chance in running. I'm not really sure if he knew or really believed that he could win, but the fact he got in there, and now he's, you know, in a position where it appears to be like he's going to try to do some things different, shake things up. And that alone is exciting, because who knows what he will be able to get done. But just the fact that in a year and a month and a half, I think more truth has come out in regards to how tainted and how corrupt our true governmental structure is. And so if he wasn't in the position of president, if it was Hillary or anybody else, we wouldn't have known nothing about all of this drama in DC. So I think it's a good thing that he is in office. Now, what he gets accomplished, we'll see. But at the end of the day, it's nothing he can really do, because as you can see, all he's going to do is borrow more. He's a king of debt. And so having a boss as a president who loves debt, he's going to run these deficits into the ground. I don't know if it's on purpose or what, but that's probably why they're so friendly with allowing us to not really looking to pass some invasive regulations for cryptos, because it's the way that it's a way to counterbalance the inflation in paper that's coming, I believe. Please talk about Argentine crisis. Stacey Williams. Okay, so Argentina, they have been under various styles of government, more dictator-like regimes, as some the politicians love to say, over the last couple of decades. So what will happen is they'll have some form of election. Someone to get elected, become president, and ends up manipulating the system where he becomes president, you know, stays in term for four or five terms, and along the way, enriching himself and robbing his country of all the wealth. They've actually nationalized all of their natural resources. So their major gas companies down there are all a part of the government. What else? Their minerals, all that. It's a country that's rich in natural resources. It is unbelievably. It's a beautiful country, and so it's third world like. And so once you more likely most people fly into Buenos Aires directly, and that's a major metropolitan area similar to like New York or Chicago, something like that. But once you get outside of Buenos Aires, you are in the rural areas where it's unbelievable living, very peaceful, very friendly people. It's a great environment, very very nice, and it's affordable for Americans to live there because of their economy. So actually one of my prior guests, Doug Casey, interviewed him last year, looking to have him on again this year, but he actually has an estate down in Argentina and a whole little compound of which he swears up and down it's the greatest thing ever because it's just a different environment. Once you get a chance to live outside the country and you get a chance to stay at a certain place, preferably like a second or third world country, and you actually look back at your homeland, you see things with a different perspective, and that perspective allows you to appreciate what you have now as far as living in here in this country, because we are blessed beyond imagine. We have more at our fingertips than we could ever really understand in comparison to what people have outside this country. Monday, well, the stock market was crashing, gold and silver stayed about the same. Yeah, that's true, Tony. Stayed about the same. And here's the thing, even if the price of metals went down, they still would have stayed the same as far as what's the intrinsic in value and having metals in your possession. So whether the price goes to, $1 for a silver eagle, it would never actually be worth. No one ever, you'll never be able to get one for $1, even if they try to make the price that way. So I never really pay attention to price, nominal price anyway. Our country has 150 trillion in national resources in federal owned land. This is why they don't care about the federal debt. Yeah, I hope that's true. I mean, all the federal lands has been blocked off, and no doubt they're rich and everything. But the problem will be if there was an adjustment, the amount of time needed to go in and mine and to extract some of those resources, there's going to be a window of time where there's going to be a struggle, because I doubt a lot of nations are willing to take the U.S.'s word at saying we have X amount of ounces of gold in the Grand Canyon, so give us a line of credit. No, they're going to say, show us that gold first, and then we can talk business. Now it's going to take years because, I don't really follow the mining sector, but from my past guests and gentlemen I do follow, they're saying that there's no real viable sources of metals that's ready to come out of the ground because we've kind of tapped everything on the surface. Everything is down deep, which requires time and money and energy. It says the metals didn't really go down. It was $1 that went up temporarily. Everybody need to start stacking gold, and Silver Monday was a prime example for doing it. Yes. Yeah. And my new motto for 2018 is, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. And so that plays right into what we talked about last night with the pensions. I mean, people think they have a pension because their name is written on a piece of paper and they get a statement every month saying, how their portfolio is doing. But yet, if they can't get to it when they need it most, or actually, in actuality, what the components of those investments are all, intertwined in different institutions. So even if they try to sell it at a certain point, they probably wouldn't be able to get out in time to actually hold something in their hand. So I think that's going to apply especially towards all types of paper financial assets. If you can't physically go get it or keep it in a place where you can hold it in your hands, then you won't really own it at the end of the day. Question: what is the definition of inflation and deflation? Inflation is an expansion. Deflation is a contraction. And so whenever for example, in the money supply, whenever the money supply increases, it's known to become inflationary because the supply and demand is off balance. And so it leads to problems. And then when there's a deflation, it's the money supply contracting, or credit more likely contracting, and it's not enough available. And that causes problem because we're in a debt-based economy. So we always need debt 24/7. Somebody has to swipe a card somewhere in order to keep the system going. That's, give or take definition. I see that there's a clearer reflection from your bald head. Grow hair. Yeah, Diego, if I was able to grow hair, my friend, I definitely would. my younger years. But it's not really what's on the head, it's what's inside, I think matters most. Online brokers locked investors out from their accounts when the stock started plunging. Precious metal will still be there. Really, so many reports. So online brokers locked their investors out. So yeah, that's the thing. Especially if you have to go online or go through some, computer source, it's good to say that there's going to be a glitch all of a sudden. There's going to be, that they're going to shut the computer. They're going to shut their website down for maintenance at that time when you're trying to make some things happen. Inflation is when you go to a store near me. Robert, what state are you in where inflation is like that? Trump is a wild card, very much so. He's a wild card that I think it's more timely now than ever, because as this thing crumbles, the idea he's uncertain, we don't know what he's going to do. Something's going to be done. Either he's going to initiate it, or as they say, the deep state is going to initiate it around him. Nicolad Smith. Yeah, people don't really understand. And that's the thing, like me, other than just based upon history, that's the best reference. The fact that, we read about what's happening now in Venezuela, of which I'm really sure it's not as, what the story we're told is, it's horrific, but yet actually being there, I'm sure it's a different case. Outside Chicago. Chi-Town. Yeah, I've been to Chi-Town several times, but not too familiar with inflation there, but I imagine it's no different than Detroit, I'm sure, where people get really locked out their accounts on Monday. I don't think people realize what they're going through. Yeah. So news-wise, news stories. Were there any stories that any of you guys came across that'd be worth mentioning? So last night, one of my regards from Thailand. Welcome, my friend, or good morning, or good afternoon for you, probably in Thailand. We have someone checking in from Thailand. Obama equals Osama. What you want? Evidence. Good one. High taxes. Oh yeah. Oh man. I've done several little news articles on the taxes, how they keep hiking those taxes up to pay off all those promises from 20, 30 years ago in the form of pensions and the school system and things like that. If World War III happened, who would start it? Who would start it? I would imagine a false flag would start it. And so it would be, if you look at all the prior wars, it's always the wealthiest people on the planet who stands to benefit the most. Because if you're selling ammunition and selling war goods, and then if you're also on the other end of buying it, or you're the financier of it all, you're financing the whole operations, I think it's the wealthiest people on the planet that will benefit most. So it'd be to their advantage to, piss somebody off over here and then blame it on them with a false flag, so that we can easily just interject. And so no matter what happens, a false flag will lead the U.S. into something. But I think that Trump is a little bit wiser to just jump the gun. And that has a lot to do with what happened in Hawaii with that whole missile situation, or the idea of a missile being launched, or whatever really happened. Who knows? But I believe a missile was launched in hopes of, pissing somebody off so that we would retaliate and blame it on North Korea. All wars are bankers' wars. Very true. All countries are beefing up their nukes. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like the idea that we're living in an age where I wish I could say, can't we all just get along? But because the financiers and the bankers or banksters have so much to lose in regards to control, they're going to continue to do everything they can to press buttons all over the planet to piss people off, all in the name of, trying to rule the world. So all trying to keep all control for themselves at the expense of everybody else, at the expense of 7-point-something billion people. Venezuela would be fine if it weren't for the state of control of their petroleum industry. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. The idea that the government privatized or took all the natural resources and put it under the control of a government, of which it's a body of individuals that only know how to make promises that they know that they won't be in turn to have to fulfill just to stay in office. And that goes to show that, I mean, as this whole, just being a politician in general is being exposed as a fraud nowadays, because all these people do is make promises that they know they can't keep, but they just make promises to soothe ears for today. And because people always want free stuff or stuff at a discount price, they're going to vote them in. Those days are going to be numbered real soon. You mean I don't get a spot in the underground bunkers? Could South and North Korea become one country again? It all depends on what Kim Jong-un wants to do. I don't think he's in a position where he's going to give up his place of rulership of that piece of land. And so I don't think South Korea wants to have a co-partnership with a gentleman that's a complete, he's the king of North Korea or the monarch or whatever you want to call it of North Korea. And they're trying to form some type of democracy down in South Korea. So I don't think those will work. But it's amazing that they are so close in such a small island that they are still beefing. If Kim Jong-un dies prematurely, then reunification is possible in the next decade. Yeah, I do believe that. But I'm sure he's going to have a predecessor that will try to step in, and they're going to have a revolution and a coup. And then we're going to the U.S. is going to get involved to implement a central bank. Good night, and thank you for your good conversation. Oh, no problem. Stacey, thanks for joining us. I know it's a late night, so I wasn't planning on staying on long myself. Just wanted to chit chat. Didn't have a chance to do it earlier, so I wanted to get online and see what was happening out here, see who had some comments and some thoughts they want to share. And also it ain't too late to just drop a call if you want to have your voice heard and share some thoughts or comments. Definitely always got my phone line open. The U.S. government has not kept one promise in the last 200 years. Kept a promise. Gilbert, run off a couple of promises. Because I'm trying to figure out what type of promises have they made that I would want them to keep. I'm not sure there's many that I would want them to actually keep. I seriously think the cryptos hit a bottom. Yeah, definitely, man. So, for those that's logging on a little bit late, I started off with some little snippets from today's hearing committee on virtual currencies, and just the way that the gentleman were referring to how innovative it is and how of an opportunity it could be for the youth to get involved and to understand finances through it, lets me know that they aren't planning on making any changes right now. So once that 2-hour segment ended, all the cryptocurrencies was or the more important ones that actually have some promise behind them were in the green. So I do believe that by spring, summer, there's going to be new highs. And at that point, we'll see how the regulating committees, they reevaluate their stance on currencies. But one thing that's worth mentioning is the fact that I think it was the CFTC and the SEC mentioned about forming a joint committee to really further understand what's going on. And I think that committee that they're going to form, it's going to be SEC and CFTC. They're going to come together as one new government body, as if we need any more government entities. But it's going to be called just the crypto division or the blockchain patrol or something like that. And then they're going to be the ones that are allowed to issue and snoop and pry. And every exchange in this country is going to have to be registered through them with all your information listed and stuff like that. So I believe that stuff is coming because once again, you got the whole tax issue. So the whole tax issue on the fact that all these gains, you got millions of people getting gains and a lot of people are getting out of cryptos, but they're not telling the tax man. I think Bitcoin will get below 1,000 before the end of the year. Ooh, sound money. Go below $1,000 before the end of the year. Man, I wouldn't be mad if it did. I wouldn't be mad if it did, because if that goes to 1,000, it means every other currency underneath it got to go down. And there's a couple that I do have confidence in as being game changers that I would love to look into a little bit further myself. Government is like a bull in a china shop. I'm making onions. How do I prepare them? Onions. I'm not a cook. That's one thing. Not too good at cooking. It's great for small business. His niece was playing with crypto as conflict of interest. Whose niece? Your green screen, what did it say? Your green screen special effects takes off half of your head. Yeah, so yeah, because it's actually someone mentioned about the screen, my background. It is not actually a green screen. It's just some software that I use, and so the whole green screen and all stuff like that is too high tech for me. I keep it simple. Just want to have something to give you a number to call in if you want to call and ask a question. The number's right above me. Big, what else we got here? So let me ask a question. How many people that's tuning in would agree or would think that if you're under, say, 40 or 30, or if you're under 40 or 50 years old, and you're 20 years away, or give or take, from actually retiring, as they say, of which I don't really like that subject matter or really believe in that concept, but it's what we're told is, it motivates most of us to get up and go to work in the morning, knowing that we got 20, 30 more years and we can retire. But anyway, so how many people believe that this whole blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies would be a good avenue for the younger generation to explore, in the form of putting a little bit of money here and there into it, with the hopes of it turning into some form of big payoff down the line that can be considered a retirement fund? And so, anybody have any thoughts on that? Because I believe that now that cryptocurrency is a legitimate financial asset, that for the younger generation, those that are 20, 30 years away from retirement, it might be worth your while to put a couple pennies into it, because at the end of the day, the Federal Reserve notes in and of itself are going to go back to their intrinsic value of zero eventually. The best way is to work for yourself on the Ether platform. On the Ether platform. Yeah. Now, the question would be, how do you know? So you mean as far as developing a dApp or developing some form of service on the Ethereum platform? Am I reading that right, Robert? It can get one there for sure. Bet I like that. Salute. I'm trying to gas my cat, but he will be badass. They are going to make it. They are going to have to make it a whole lot faster. Yeah, I think the Ethereum platform, because it took off so fast as being a platform that can actually be, can be built upon it. Things can be built upon it. I think it literally is in the version 1 phase. But for it being a version 1 prototype that's functional right now, there's, dozens upon dozens of software companies and whatnot that's built on top of it. Hell, even Venezuela is building on Ethereum right now. So how many people out there going to invest into that $5 billion ICO they're trying to launch pretty soon? Blockchain is useful, but for payment and virtual coins to maintain the blockchain centralization is flawed. How many cryptos are there? 1,500 number is growing at least 8% per month. Yeah, and so that's the thing. Like, starting your own cryptocurrency, if you have a viable idea or just want to, hustle and make a quick dollar and scam some people, there's going to be thousands of cryptos by the end of this year. But yet, that's why it requires actual understanding of how the market works, and then getting a chance to know who's behind it and what are they disrupting out here in this world. If they're promising to disrupt something, it might be worth something paying attention to. But if it's just a happy-go-lucky coin, just because a mom and dad put it together, then I wouldn't really mess with it. Yes, retirement is a very useful thing. I am pursuing music. The U.S. debt department is going up like mine too. That really says sugars from the planet. Okay, really have to believe in what you're doing. Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of projects out there that are very interesting because they, I'm excited about the disruption in a lot of the financial markets and financial institutions that's coming, because pretty soon, once the whole wallet platform of how you store your cryptocurrencies is reassured that it's secure in some form or fashion, and at that point, the banking system is going to be in trouble, because You got to, who would want to keep their money deposited in a checking or savings account earning 0.01%, while the inflation is 2%, what you're told. So that's automatically, you're already automatically in the hole. You're automatically losing. So people automatically is going to keep their money in either metals or something called a blockchain of some kind. Physical silver, nothing like it. Nothing like it. I keep me some on deck at all times. Never leave home without it. How can we fix China's and India's other population problem? How can we fix their problems? That's a population issue. I don't think, there's no fixing that. I think the one world, one government idea that the elite want to put in play, I think they're the ones that want to control population. But I'm pretty confident that, God knew exactly how many people could reside on this planet when he made it. So I'm not sure. I don't think we're going to have a lack of resources other than just, people using more than they actually need. American Silver Eagles and Royal Canadian Maple Leafs. Yeah, Eagles. Yeah, Eagles, man. Eagles are legal tender. So Eagle, American Silver Eagles are legal tender. So that is actually money. Royal Canadian Mints are legal tender in Canada. Do you think the U.S. will collapse like Venezuela? Good question. I think what will happen in this country here will be it's going to be a shock. I can't say it's going to be a overnight situation where all of a sudden you're going to wake up and just everything's going to be completely different, but it's going to be a gradual process of just the erosion of our country. Because, socially, we're already, we're probably the meanest, most aggressive population on the planet. Most people don't even say hi when they walk past them in the street. So socially, we already, got our priorities off backwards. And then here, and most of the people here are so distracted by entertainment, they wouldn't know if something went wrong until they actually could feel it. So I think Venezuela is going to be different because it's a small country. Their currency, no one wants it but them. And so it's felt right away in their instance. But for us, it's going to be a while. It's going to take a while. It's going to start, of course, in the banking system. There's going to be a recession. Then the government's going to respond with issuing debt. And then the debt's going to increase. Inflation is going to pick up. And then countries around the world are going to start taking dollars or Federal Reserve notes because we're printing them like crazy. So we're going to need to issue some form of reliable currency to do business with people. And then they're going to ask us to issue a new trading note or trading substance. And of course, Russia and China are doing a lot of things in gold. So we'll see if they want gold or silver in payment. So it's going to be a gradual process, but it's going to be something that we've never experienced in the developed world. So it's going to be a shock. And natural disasters that people tend to come together. Yeah, I think they tend to come together when all options are lost. And so in the midst of after there's some civil unrest, when people stop fighting for what is no longer there, like just say, for example, of course, I'm just talking, but if the grocery stores are empty and, all the typical sources of food are gone, then at that point, people are starving. Then people are going to be more friendlier to one another to try to help each other out and offer their services or whatnot. But yet, first 24 hours, first week or two is going to be every man for themselves. Let me get all I can. To hell with anybody else. I got to feed my family. So, if I see somebody with a can of beans, I may have to take them out for that can of beans type of mentality because of the shock. Because most people are used to going down to the grocery store on Fridays or Saturdays every week to get their groceries. But what about the groceries aren't there? Something to think about. Braves, Max just joined. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Where you viewing us from? The Braves are Max. So, like always, the number 833 Live RTD. Anybody have a unique angle or a news story that they want to share with the audience? I would love for you to call in and share your thoughts. Homeless everywhere here. Yeah, I've read a lot of stories that it's not on the mainstream news, of course, about how the rate of homelessness has picked up a lot. And it's unfortunate just because you never know what the person's circumstances are that cause them to either lose it all, or they just down and out on their luck or knees or whatever. But it's interesting how that type of stuff happens. Now, and me having children, whenever I see someone, I definitely make mention of it to my boys if I can't give them something or whatever. Just that you never know. So be thankful for what you have, because that gentleman or that young lady there probably never imagined when they were a kid that they would be 20, 30 years old, under a bridge on a corner with a sign. Just that's why I'm very grateful. I'm from France. Okay, so you're viewing us from France right now. And Diego says, "Are you a Freemason?" No, I'm not. I'm a citizen of the kingdom of God, my friend. No need for any type of earthly fraternities or anything like that. Smash the like button, y'all. Salute. Yes. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Diego. If that's a foreign language, I'll see Jesus. That's all I can see out of that. I'm not sure what that is. Here, be thankful for what you have. Yeah, very, very grateful. Comment-vous, Alice? Oh, you're speaking French. I deal with messed up vets on a daily basis. So we have a caller. Let's see what we have. Hello?
Hello.
Hello, caller. How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm excellent. What's your name and where you calling from, Max?
Mina Taylor, calling from Brooklyn, New York.
Lena Taylor from Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn in the building. How you doing? What's on your mind tonight?
I've had a question.
Okay.
I want to ask a question with respect to investing in cryptocurrencies, and you ask about for retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm a baby boomer and a silver stacker.
Okay.
But I would like to invest in cryptocurrencies for my heirs, but I don't know how to do that outside of buying these crypto coins. Is there a way to invest in the blockchain technology outside of buying cryptocurrency?
I can share with you my opinion, because I can't, talk financial real talk, whatever, but from just information I've gathered, what I can share with you is that outside of actual coins and tokens that, people issue for funding for their projects or whatnot, there's different, I don't know of the offhand. I know one of my prior guests, I can direct you to him, Leor Gantz.
I'm familiar with Leor.
Okay, so Leor Gantz has a couple different things that you can subscribe to, and you'll receive information on various companies that they're actually listed on the stock exchange as having something to do with the blockchain technology. So they're incorporating the blockchain into their current business model, and you can invest in that, I believe, through your normal conventional ways of stocks and bonds, or stocks rather. And so I'm familiar with that, and I'm sure there'll be more like that coming, because they don't want to necessarily be solely a blockchain. They want to incorporate it with an actual company, like a brick and mortar type store. And so I would imagine that that's something that you can look into. So check Leor Gantz out. And then also, one thing I saw not long ago is the fact, like, a lot of companies now, like FedEx, UPS, they're exploring the blockchain. And so we have another company. I'm drawing a blank.
Do these people have to pay to use the blockchain technology in their businesses?
No, to my knowledge, the blockchain concept, it's a open free source software type of ordeal that anyone with the computer background can extract some of the code or whatnot and implement it into their computer system and add stuff into it. In layman's term, of course, I'm not a computer guy, but so that's kind of how it works. But it's all open free software that you can use, and you can add upon it and develop and come up with a concept that you can use through it. So, but there'll be more companies, like more mainstream companies, coming this year, probably next year, that are probably also listed on the regular stock market. But then also they're going to incorporate blockchain into their business, because they don't want to miss out on this opportunity right now. So that's something that I would imagine is coming.
Okay, Mike. I have a clearer picture now because I was like, why do I have to buy a coin to invest in the blockchain technology? But I think I got it now.
Right. So another thing with the actual coins and tokens, I look at it more so as the equivalent of owning shares in a project or in a software company. And so, like, for example, like Google and Yahoo, they themselves are solely software type companies that we use for emails and stuff like that. But then they list shares on, Wall Street and stuff like that people actually purchase through conventional means. This new crypto stuff is basically an alternative version of that same thing, to where a person comes out on an ICO. If it's something you believe in or know about, you're investing in them the same way you would invest in, shares in a company the old way. So I think it's just a new way of doing things that could be beneficial.
I think that, that even cleared it up even more for me. I got it.
Right. Well, I'm glad I helped. And so thanks for calling in.
Okay, Mike. Thank you.
All right. Enjoy your night.
Bye.
Great question. Great question. I appreciate you calling in and sharing your thoughts on that one. Sharing your question on that one. It says, NVIDIA work won't let me send a link. Microsoft and Samsung this year. Yeah, like what company in a right mind want to miss out on all this money that's going to go from the stock market and from savings and checking accounts and in most cases gold and silver into this cryptography technology. So everybody wants to get involved. You'd be a fool if you didn't get involved. Excuse me. And other GPU manufacturers are indirect way to invest in cryptocurrencies. Sound money. Good one there. Investing in those hardware companies will definitely GPUs are using for mining. Number 15, Burger King foot lettuce. Last thing you want in your Burger King is someone foot fungus. Diego, I'm not sure if that's related to the conversation, my friend. We're not talking about foot fungus. IBM start integration of blockchain applications. Problem I see as if you lose your password, you lose all your money. Yeah, and that's the thing. But yet, that's just, for now, that's kind of how it goes until there's other ways of maintaining your privacy and things like that. So, like, you're basically, when it comes to the conventional banking and the new way of the future banking, when it comes to storing your own passwords and passwords and things like that, it's either you want your assets in the hands of various counterparties and trust that they're going to do what's right on your behalf, or would you take some of that and put it in your own possession and concern yourself with taking care of your passwords, but it's there and it minimizes the risk of different organizations and companies having control over your money when you need it, or your coins or whatever when you need it. Buying silver and gold and platinum can be useful if you sell it when prices go up, and then you can sell it for a lot of money. Yeah, but I wouldn't really be a fan of selling metals in this season, because as I mentioned earlier, we're entering a season where people are going to really be shocked at the idea that they don't really own a lot of things that they thought they owned, just because it has your name on it and you get a monthly statement saying this is what activity has happened in your account, doesn't mean, in my opinion, that it's actually there and it's physically yours, that you can get whenever you want. Unlike metals and precious stones and things like that. Just little information for people who can't buy equipment for mining. You can choose POS. Please explain the use of POS and POW. Well, Braz, I've heard those terms several times and looking into crypto. So proof of work and proof of stake is just different ways of validating transactions and things like that. So I can be honest and say I don't really know the details of how to distinguish between the two. But I'm sure if you just Google POW POS, or in YouTube type in POW versus POS, you'll get all types of explanations that can help. How do you feel about Trump wanting to have a military parade? Military parade, like an actual physical, military parade, or what? I'm not sure. I don't think I heard about that one. When will it be a good season? When will what be a good season? Can't wait until all these scams are exposed. Yeah, it'll definitely weed out some of the riffraffs. Do you know that every president except Abraham Lincoln, John Kennedy, and Trump are all Freemasons? I did not know that. but I wouldn't be surprised. Because, I mean, in my opinion, in order to become a president nowadays, you have to be a part of a society that, is sworn to secrecy on a lot of important things. That's the only way you'll get nominated. Because every president, probably except from Trump, needs financial backing. So who's going to back you financially? The people who want you to do as they please. Just like, President Obama, to my knowledge, I forgot the exact number, but raised the most money in history for his campaign. So how can you not win when you got all that money coming in from the banks and all the financial institutions in favor of you? They basically bought the presidential seat by giving that guy all that money. And of course, nothing comes for free. So if they give you all that money, you got some hands and some backs you got to scratch, buddy. For Selly Meadows. What's a good season for Selly Meadows? I would say a good season. I don't know if it's a season. I think it's more so, and this is what I got from Mike Maloney's videos, Hidden Secrets of Money, of how everything, every asset, everything goes through seasons and cycles. And so everything will have a point where it's, undervalued, and then everything will reach a point when it's overvalued. And when it's overvalued is when that's probably the top of that cycle. And then when it's at the top of that cycle is usually the best time to get out. And so when that cycle actually hits, I don't know. But I think most people have an idea when the cycle will be near its top, when, say, for example, a silver coin can purchase you an entire house or something that's just unbelievable, like as you couldn't imagine. That might be the top where you might want to say, okay, let me go ahead and give you this coin for that house. I got a bounce with you, fam. Thanks for Bank Chief. Appreciate you joining, my friend. Gregory, shout out to 7 Mile. Got to be from Detroit. Welcome, Gregory. How you doing, buddy? Angel, duck season. Angel, rabbit season. I'm not getting that one. He wants the Pentagon to plan for a military parade with tanks and soldiers going down the streets in D.C. like they have in North Korea. Tony, I didn't know that. And if that is the case, I think that's foolish, because exactly what will that prove, or what will that show? It won't show unification, because it's not about us trusting our military. Most people are very confident that our military can get the job done. It's just lack of confidence in politicians to make decisions that is in the best interest of the people. So not sure what that's all about, if that is the truth. I mean, that's a waste of taxpayer dollars, but when it's not your money, I don't think they, who cares? Hidden Secrets is a good informative stuff. Yeah, Hidden Secrets of Money is by far top notch. Right now, silver is the most undervalued asset on the planet. Very true. I think, the comment is the fact that silver is the most undervalued asset on the planet. And most people don't really realize how undervalued it truly is, unless you actually look throughout history and you see the role that silver has played as money for the commoner, for everyday people. The fact that, I love looking at archives of old newspapers. So I would go back and read stories on how there'd be job postings in such and such Gazette, and it'd be like, 10 cents an hour or something like that. And I'm thinking, like, man, like, they're getting paid 10 cents in a small silver dime. And that would be an hour's wage or a day's wage. I'm like, man, that's, I couldn't imagine that type of monetary system prior to the, the central banking model of, debt. But just the idea that a silver, coin, a silver quarter in and of itself is something you can't print or just, make up out of thin air. SD Bullion is where I get my coins if anyone's looking for a reputable dealer. Yep. I am familiar with SD Bullion. They're from Michigan, so not too far. They know it's a bubble. They make money. They don't care. Very true. Trump is lining with the military and NSA only because they are the only ones he can trust. Can't trust the Republicans, FBI, CIA, or Department of Justice. Yeah, that, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. It's unfortunate that all those departments, it's been kind of proven now with all those memos that all those higher up officials in those departments were plotting against them. Yeah, that's kind of sad. Gregory Shavers, crypto will bounce back. Yeah, cryptos will bounce back just because look at the alternative. You know, for an individual such as myself, you know, I'm not one of those guys that can put $1 million in the stock market and expect, you know, massive gain. So I'm going to put money where I believe I have the best chance of A, retaining purchasing power in the form of sound money, and then B, in the hopes of getting some gains, because your savings and checking account won't cut it. So you're going to people are going to put money in cryptos with the hopes of it, you know, going up in value or nominal value anyway. So even if they do drop, people who are aware will just buy them up and wait until the right time for them to go back up. So I do think they will go up. Santa Clara's minimum wage is $13. Really? Yeah, but I mean, California is probably the highest cost of living in this country. So that 13 is probably still not enough. Robert, thanks, my friend. Have a good night. Yep, I'm about to log off myself. It's been close to an hour. So yeah, I told myself do like a 30-minute, 40-minute segment. Well, what is scary is if they did to him. We are not safe in our homes. Nothing's sacred. Very true. That's the whole idea of privacy. You know, we won't really appreciate what it means to have privacy until we lose it completely. Of which, in my opinion, privacy is already technically gone, because everything is labeled smart, has a built-in back door to it for access to you, listen to see whatever they want, whenever they want. So anything that's smart in your house has taken away your privacy, including your smartphone. So privacy is gone. Michael is evil and he's coming. Michael, as in Michael who? Michael Myers? I would rather buy royalty streaming mining stocks than buy cryptos at this point. Sound Money Report. Not too familiar with the mining sector, other than the fact that, once again, with the whole mining stocks, you know, worst case scenario, things go haywires. You know, if you can't hold if you can't hold what's in the ground from those shares, you're betting on and hoping for nominal gains throughout the little crises, which could pay off. But I always believe that if that sector is doing really well, the government is going to come in and nationalize it and give you pennies on a dollar, or give you some form of, you know, government issued shares in your own stock. So, you know, I'm not too sure, but I think because of the climate we're in now, the phrase of not owning it, you don't own it. And I think it's important for more people to just have a little something to hold on to, as a worst case scenario, of course, because it ain't gonna save you. It won't, you know, it won't make your world, but it'll help give you a little something to get through. Michael Clements. Let me, because I haven't looked into it. I've heard the name. Let me just pop it up. Michael Clements. Not familiar. The name, I've seen the name before. I'm not sure who Michael Clements is. Angel, if you want to share with me who he is, I'd love to watch Hidden Secrets of Money on YouTube. It explains. Michael Clements. Read this, please. What determines what money currency is greater than other? Okay, so I think the question is, for Michael Clements. Oh, okay. So Michael, you're joining us. Okay, I'm Googling Michael Clements like it's a political figure that I should know about. Read this, please. What determines what money currency is greater than the other? So what determines what currency is greater than the other? I think more so confidence and what can you do with it. And so right now, the Federal Reserve note is legal tender issued by the central bank through our government for our government's benefit. And it's our national currency. So it's a value because we can still spend it. But the day comes when no one wants it because prices skyrocket. I don't think that currency will be of great use to many people. So people are going to look for alternatives. And so I think at the moment you go to exchange it is when you're going to find out what it's really worth. So I think the free market typically determines what is considered valuable, based upon what's what's able to be spent, saved, as well as just valued overall as retaining purchasing power. Yeah, Angel, I see he's in the chat. Yeah, I apologize. I didn't read the name before. Yes, nationalization is a risk, but I have geographic diversification in the safe jurisdictions. Yeah, so it's our money, and then not to even sound like I'm, anti-mining stocks, because I don't know it like that, but the whole idea of diversification in different jurisdictions, because if everything goes haywire, I wouldn't necessarily be confident that Mexico or Switzerland or Asia or all those, or anywhere in Africa, that they're not going to be subject to the same side effects of a monetary reset that we're experiencing, to where they're going to be strapped for cash. That they may mess around and like globally look to nationalize all mining stocks or whatnot, mining companies. So, but yeah, diversification. I mean, it's better than having it all in one spot. So, well, I support you there, my friend. Gregory, appreciate you, buddy. It is getting kind of late. It is midnight, so that is my cue right there. It is midnight, so I will log off myself. And so one thing I wanted to do before I do log off, as always, the whole idea is to, do more video chats. And so I told myself I would try to do two nights in a row. But more importantly as well, support-wise, like the idea of I want to try to do more, better, and just do greater, give you guys greater content. So as always, if anyone that wants to donate or contribute to RTD Live, I would love to have you help out here, just because I must admit, as I get more viewers, YouTube is doing a great job of making sure they're monitoring everything I do. So, these YouTube videos, don't really make money unless you got 100,000 subscribers anyway. But so my goal is to basically be able to offer people alternative things, such as this shirt I have on right here. So it's the RTD Live show. So if you enjoy the show, if you want to rep and show some support, visit the RTD store. And so I have some shirts there. And so goal is to try to give you something to wear, to be a participant of the program. So I appreciate you. So I was going to show you the website. But anyway, so it's midnight. It's been an hour. Good chat. I enjoyed myself. Hope you guys have fun. Let's check in again sometime soon and go from there. It says, did you find it weird how the dollar is more famous than pounds, even though pounds were way more? Yeah, when it comes to actual the distinction of different currencies, the pound is only it's in the basket of currencies, but it's only really wanted and needed in trade amongst governments. It's potentially if you're in England, but I've never been to the UK, so I'm not familiar with the pound, other than the fact it was the reserve currency prior to. But when you leave the country, especially with the euro, right now the euro is doing, it's pretty strong. So it pisses me off because it makes everything expensive for me. So going to the UK with dollars, I would definitely notice it, because I wouldn't be able to get many pounds with this depreciating petrodollar. Pounds only used to be the reserve currency before the dollar. Yep. Petrodollar. Dollar is losing its confidence. That's what you are seeing. 100%. And it's going to get worse. And just like I mentioned last night, I think it'd be worthwhile also in the days ahead to begin distinguishing between the Federal Reserve note and the dollar, because the Treasury issues the dollar in the form of the United States Mint issuing the coinage in the form of silver and gold. So the dollar comes from a government still, a government entity, whereas in the Federal Reserve note comes from a private central bank. So that's two differences, because the paper is going to go away, but that silver that comes from the Treasury is going to be there, and it's going to appreciate in value. So we still do have money issued from our government. It's just nothing you want to get rid of. You want to keep on to that. All right, Michael, appreciate you joining, my friend. Good night. Have a good night. So anyway, it's about to log off. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you want, give me a thumbs up. Share this video. Help me get more word out there. And then also, as I, days ahead, look to do more videos, as I send out a little notification, please give me a thumbs up and share that so people can tune in and watch what's going on and hang out with us a little bit. Ace One, what's your take on short-term economic trends? You think 2 things will be better? I see no real recovery. Ace One, yeah, I mentioned it earlier that this past 48 hours of Friday and Monday, the market correcting the fair value, because $25,000 point Dow is way overvalued when you look at the fact that most Americans aren't in that market. So where's the money coming from? It's coming from corporations buying back their stock, as well as just governments around the world. Switzerland is involved in our stock market. So you get all this artificial money. It's bound to correct. So I think this year will be a correction period in some form or fashion, not a collapse, but a correction, which is going to cause panic, which could lead to a collapse. You ever want to write economic articles? I will have a website soon. Eric Zimmerman, I would love to write some articles or whatnot. And also, speaking of which, got a couple people online still. I put together another ebook, and so it'll be out once I clean it up. I want to get it out absolutely free. And the goal is, because it's no coincidence that the book is in reference to, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. And my reasons as to why I think you better hold something in your hands or something near your estate soon as possible because of what's happening. But it'll be a great book for you guys to share with family and friends that gives a lot of practical information that people can use. So where the stops now? Getting the week out. Yep, getting the week out. And the problem is a lot of the people, it's not a lot of weak people in it. It's a lot of retirees in the stock market and bonds market, because their whole portfolios is tied into conventional financial assets. So yeah, those people, they're not going to quit. Because they can't withdraw all that money. They'd be wise if they do and just take the little tax penalty. But I'd rather withdraw now with a heavy tax penalty than not withdraw and lose it all or get pennies on the dollar. So anyway, so it's been over an hour. Good conversation. And still we have more people tuning in, but it is midnight on the East Coast. It is past midnight. And this is the latest live chat I've ever done, but I wanted to get it out. I wanted to chit chat. Felt like I wanted to just check in with you guys and say what's up. So appreciate the call that did call. Everybody enjoy your night. Hit the thumbs up button and share this so more people can find out what we're doing over here at RTD and get involved and get informed. So have a good night, and I'll see you guys later.